I think when Ibsen wrote A Doll's House, and it got out in the world, he was given an award by a feminist group, a women's feminist group in Norway that had formed, because of the ways in which they thought this was sort of the feminist manifesto. A Doll's House was a feminist manifesto, and Henrik Ibsen really sort of walked back from that acclaim, and he said, no, I was really trying to just point out the human differences, that there's this inequality among humans, and I want there to be equality among all humans, and for humans to think and act independently. I actually lived in the area where we're setting this play. So we're setting this play in Gjøvik, which is just on the west coast of Lake Mjøsa. Lake Mjøsa is the largest inland lake in Norway, and we believe that Nora and Christina lived across and down the Lake Mjøsa, and so I've lived in that spot, and I know that the Norwegian heritage runs through my veins, and it just seems like he's so relevant. Ibsen is still so relevant.
I think she is both the archetype and the prototype for like every domestic situation, like whether it's situational comedy or whether it's like kitchen sink realism. I think that like Ibsen's, the first person kind of putting that on stage, and so everything that follows is sort of modeled, not everything, but so many. I did Disgrace last year, and I think that there are moments in that relationship where basically whenever you have a man and wife and they think their relationship is one thing and sort of built on certain dynamics, and then whenever the woman particularly kind of realizes that the man she put on a pedestal isn't going to live up to that, and how they've both been a party to that, I think that's what's universal about it. And that's familiar territory in terms of learning the kind of information and the way it tumbles out, and the way nobody can possibly live up to the kind of pedagogical parochial ideals that Torvald has, but that I think so many like upright men exhibit.
I have adapted some Ibsen pieces in the past, but we were reading different translations and different adaptations from translations, and when we got a hold of Robert's adaptation, it just seemed like there was enough formality in the language to make it seem as if we could set this in the 1870s, 1880s, and yet it was modern enough. The language was formal enough, yet modern enough that it would come trippingly off a contemporary actor's lips. And there's nothing worse than having a contemporary actor trying to take sort of stilted, translated language and make it their own. So I think Robert's done a great job of getting the sense of the translated, the literally translated line from Norwegian to English, and get that sense and then put it into a very speakable, playable, English language line. And I have the original Norwegian text with the direct translation, and then of course Robert's adaptation. And it's just, it's interesting how you can go back to the Norwegian, which I can still read and understand a little bit, and then see how this particular translator has translated it. Maybe not always agree, but then see how Robert has taken that and made, the right kind of sense out of it for the English language.